Hey, everybody. Welcome to Story and Strategy Live. This is Jeff Herring here, and I am so glad you're here because we've got some catching up to do. We didn't do a show last week. I was deep into renovation, and I've got some incredible stuff for you. And I think it's fair to say that you're going to leave here differently than you came in. Okay? You are not going to be the same. Okay? Now, I have a practice called Your Next Chapter, where I help people rewrite the limiting stories in your business and life, then build the strategies that move you forward. And here's what I've discovered after more than 35,000 hours of coaching, counseling, and consulting. And before we do that, just please know you'll see me look down like I am doing now and then up because I've got so much I want to get to you today. And I've got some notes here on the screen, and that's how we're going to do it. Okay. So here's what I discovered after more than 35,000 hours. I know that's a bit of coaching, counseling, and consulting. Most people think you have a strategy problem. Often, what you've got is a story problem. And here's why. This is a good write down because everything comes back to this because every challenge has a story. Every story can be rewritten, and every rewritten story becomes your next chapter. Now, we've been rocking along for 4 different interviews here with Story and Strategy Live, and it's been great, wonderful, cool people, transformation. They're out there doing good things, and I love it. And we'll have some of them back from time to time to tell you where they are now, because it's not just before and after, okay? I want to know about before and after and after. Okay, before you weighed 250, now you weigh 125. How about after that? Do you keep it off? That kind of thing, right? And so what I've done in the last couple of weeks is look deep into what we're doing, and I realized that it's cool to have a guest on, and we'll always do that. We'll keep doing that, and we can do the same thing, get you a transformation, get you a life change with or without the guest here. Okay. So today we don't have a guest, and I'm going to walk you through a way to change something that most of us struggle with. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is I've scheduled out August, this next month. Today, we're going to deal with perfectionism, and it's going to alternate between life challenges and business challenges. So today's perfectionism. Next week, it's going to be the story behind your first product. After that, the story behind I'm not enough, that belief that many of us struggle with. And after that, it's going to be the story behind making offers. Okay. Today, we're uncovering the hidden story behind perfectionism. And I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. I've dealt with so many people that are in what I call the prison of perfectionism. And you'll understand why I use that language in just a moment. What if perfectionism isn't your problem? What if it's your protection? Most folks think perfection is about having high standards. And sometimes it is. Many times, though, it's fear wearing a very respectable disguise. Fear of failing, criticism, disappointing people, fear of not being enough. So instead of finishing, what do? We polish, right? Instead of publishing, we prepare. Instead of acting, we wait. Not because we're lazy, but because our story tells us it's safer. Now, perfectionism almost always grows out of a story. Somewhere along the line, you learn things like, if I make mistakes, I'll be rejected. If it's not perfect, whoops. If it's not perfect, like that wasn't perfect. If it's not perfect, people won't accept me. I have to earn approval. I have to get it right the first time. That's the main thing. Obscure Billy Joel reference there. Let me know if you got it. And also, I can't let people see me struggle. Those are not facts. Those are stories. Those are not facts. They're stories. Stories usually formed years ago. One of the four people that we've worked with so far as guests, Chris, had a story from the age of 4 or 5 that was still working on him decades later. Okay. Stories that once protected you, that's a big deal. Sometimes our stories were useful at a certain time that are now stories that could be limiting your future. Now, how in the world do stories become strategies? Well, let's break that down. Okay. Here's what's fascinating as I found. The story creates the strategy. Write that down. The story creates the strategy. If your story is, I must be perfect, your strategy becomes overthinking, overplanning. Any overthinkers out there? Delaying, editing, waiting, never launching. The problem isn't really a business problem. The strategy problem isn't really a strategy problem. This may be the most important phrase today. The strategy is simply obeying the story. Let's personalize that a little bit. My strategy is simply obeying my story. Your strategy is simply obeying your story. So what do? We rewrite it. Okay? Whenever I work with someone, we identify what the story is. And then we begin to question it. Is it actually true? Who taught me this? Would a video camera pick this up? Could you prove it? Does believe in this help me become who I want to become? What does this story cost me? What could become possible if I no longer believed it? I love that one a lot. What could become possible if I no longer believed it? And then what do? We write a new story. Yes, your stories are editable, not edible, like you could eat them, although you may have been eating your story for a while. They're editable. We can rewrite them. Okay. Maybe around perfectionism, the rewritten story is my value isn't determined by flawless performance. Or it could be progress changes lives. Perfection doesn't. Progress changes lives. Perfection doesn't. People don't need my perfection. They need my help. Let that one soak in a little bit. People don't need my perfection. They need my help. My guess is everybody that's watching this, whether live, and thank you for being here, or on replay, thank you for coming, um, are helpers, right? I want to help people. People that we want to help don't need your perfection. They need your help. Okay. Another way to change that is I can improve after I begin. Okay. Now, here's one of my favorites because a lot of people think perfectionism is noble. It's not. It's selfish. And here's where I go stepping on toes, like I do sometimes. Because why is it selfish? Because it deprives the world of you and your message. Okay. Anything that deprives the world of you and your message for the people that you're called to help is not a good thing. Okay. Now, what I really want you to notice here is really kind of one of the bottom lines here. I want you to notice this. The moment the story changes, new strategies appear. The moment the story changes, the moment your story changes, the moment my story changes, new strategies appear. Okay. Here's the reality. This is the cool part. Come here. Listen close. Listen close. Come here. When your story changes, none of the facts of the challenge have changed. None of the facts have changed. But when your story changes, new strategies appear, a new future appears with new possibilities. Okay. So now, going along the lines of perfectionism, and instead of waiting, you publish. Instead of polishing forever, you ship. Instead of instead of asking that person out on a date, instead of not doing it, I was telling this story today. I met some lifelong friends of Lynn at lunch, and I was telling about the first three things I thought when I saw Lynn. One, beautiful woman. Two, dresses classy. Three, so far out of my league. That's the first two things are facts. So far out of my league is my story. And there's a lot that goes into that I'll share with you as this goes on. Okay. I'm really, really grateful. And she says she is too, that I got over that and took a chance. Okay. So this works in business. This works in personal life. Instead of hiding, you serve. Nothing magical happened to change the circumstances. The story about the circumstances changed, and the strategy followed. Okay. So let's do some business apps here, business applications of changing the story. Now, let's just wonder something together. How many businesses never begin because of perfectionism? Because of perfectionism, how many books never get written? How many courses never get launched? How many podcasts never record episode one or past 10, which is the average time people stop? Okay? How many coaches never invite clients? Not because people lack ability. You have the ability. It's because you're still living inside an old story. Okay? Now let's apply this to life because it isn't just business. As I shared a couple stories with you, perfectionism affects relationships, faith, health, parenting. Oh my goodness! I was in a big box store the other night with Lynn. There was some shopping, and oh my goodness, there was a couple there with a couple of young children. One sitting in the cart, best behaved kid you could see. The other kid was losing it, and so his parents were close um, to doing it too. So the mom took the kid, was walking down the aisle, taking him out of the store, and that kid hit her. Like, oh my goodness, that would happen once in my house. Um, and I'm walking past the dad, and you can just see he's like half mortified, half angry. And all I said was, I remember those days. And his whole countenance, his whole body language changed. And he went, yeah. So if I had, if he's thinking, maybe he was thinking he got to be a perfect parent, wouldn't show him. I didn't have to be one. I didn't have to say the perfect thing to him. It's just 4 words. I remember those days. Okay. It affects leadership. You know what perfectionism does, procrastination too. They're cousins. What perfectionism does is it convinces us we're not ready. That's another write down, kids. Perfectionism convinces us we're not ready. We need one more class, one more certification, one more year, one more revision, one more something. I need to lose 5 pounds. I need to dress better. I need to make more money. Meanwhile, guess what? Life keeps moving. So here's your challenge for today. Okay. I'd like you to answer one question. If this resonates with you in counselor work, if this resonates with you, if this fits, if you feel a pull, as we talk about perfectionism, question is, what story is your perfectionism protecting? What are you telling yourself that makes you think that perfectionism is necessary? Don't answer with the behavior. Answer with the belief underneath it. What do you believe in about perfectionism that blocks you? Because that's where change begins. Now, I've got a bit of an invitation for you. Okay. If you'd like help uncovering that story, rewriting it, and building a strategy or strategies for what comes next, I'm here to help. Okay. Changing your story is challenging. You want to get it right. and I can help. Okay. That's another write down. Changing your story, especially if it's a lifelong story, is challenging. You want to get it right, and I can help. And that's exactly why I created something for you. It's called Your Next Chapter. Okay. And inside, here's what you're going to get. Every week, we're doing one of these lives. I'm seriously considering it from story and challenge, story and strategy live to Your Next Chapter live. Let me know what you think about that. Um, you're going to get one of these. Okay. Now, everybody gets one of these. This is live. It's open to everybody. It's an all scheme. Okay. Inside Your Next Chapter, you're going to get what's called the director's cut breakdown, all the breakdowns that help you go deeper. Okay. What worked? Why we went this way? What other direction we could have gone? What happens next? You're going to get a rewrite your story framework that you can use around the one we did that week or anything that you're struggling with, any challenge you have. Rewrite your story framework. And then the build your strategy process. You get a template that you just fill out. Okay. Twice monthly, we do live coaching where we work through real challenges together. And you're in a community of people creating new futures instead of repeating old stories. Creating new futures instead of repeating old stories. Now, listen, folks, again, this is for business and this is for personal. This is for business challenges and this is for life challenges. Sometimes those go together. Sometimes they bang against each other. Sometimes one influences the other. Sometimes they're separate. Okay. Because here's what I've learned. Now, this was a note today on my Substack. Okay. And I want you to get it here too. And you can write it down because here's what I've learned. Information tells you what to do. Transformation changes the person who's trying to do it. And when the person changes, everything else becomes possible. Okay. Information tells you what to do. Transformation changes you. A life change changes you who's trying to do it. And when you change, when your story changes, everything else becomes possible. You're able to you're able to write, to create your next chapter instead of living the last one. You do not have to live by the story you grew up with, by the story that protected you, by the story that came out of something awful said to you that got in. Might have bounced off another day, but it got in that day. All right. So if you'd like to do all that on a regular basis, okay, I want to invite you to jeffherring.com/life change. I'm going to pop that in the chat. I'm going to pop that in the chat. There we go. And here it comes to you. jeffherring.com/life change. One word. No hyphens, no dash. jeffherring.com/life change. And as we wrap up, thank you for being here today. A lot of places you could have been. You chose to be online with us, and I always appreciate that. If this episode helped you, if it hit, if it resonated, leave a comment, either here live or below where you're watching the replay, and tell me where it stood out to you. Okay. And if you look at today's topic and think that's exactly where I am, come visit us at jeffherring.com/life change and get involved. Okay. Um, you can come on one time live if you want. You can watch us deal with your biggest challenge without you on. People, when we do guests, people have reported to me, I wasn't a guest, but I changed out of watching that. Okay. Now, remember, 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 every story has a challenge. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Every challenge has a story. Every story can be rewritten. Every rewritten story becomes your next chapter. Said differently, Every challenge you have has a story. Every story you have can be rewritten, and every rewritten story becomes your next chapter. And I will see you here next week as we dive into the story behind your first product. Well, Jeff, I've got a product. What about my next product? The story behind your first product or next product. The story behind your first or next product. Because there's a lot that goes on underneath the surface that blocks people from getting that first or that next thing out there. And you can have all the strategies. You can get all the info now off of AI, right? You can get the info, connection with someone, relationship with someone, working with somebody human, which most of the time I am, is what gets life change. Transformation comes from connection. Transformation you can't get on AI. Okay. So, um, and again, next week we're going to be doing a specific business one to get all of those things out of the way so you can do your next or your first or next product. And I guarantee you, if you're blocked, it's not because you don't know the strategies. It's not because you don't know where to go find them. It's because there's a story that you believe in. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. Don't become one. Um, and all those things blocks you from doing the strategies because just like there's no workout problem, I'm sorry, there's no workout program, there's no exercise program that will beat a bad diet. There's no exercise program that will beat a bad diet. Okay. There's no strategy that will beat a bad story. There's no strategy that will beat a limiting story. And if you've got one, let's change that. We'll rewrite your story. We'll create some strategies around it and we'll write your next chapter. So visit us at jeffherring.com/life change. And we will catch you here next week. And we'll dive into the business issue of the story behind your first or next product. Today has been the story behind perfectionism. And so glad you were here. Appreciate you being here. Whether you're here live or you're here on a replay, thank you for being here. I'm honored by it. As always, go get that stuff I mentioned at jeffherring.com/life change. And as always, go use this stuff because it flat out works. And you know what? We'll catch you next time.